Coming up, singer, songwriter, and rising internet star Devin Marie. Here, now. Singer-songwriter Devin Marie arrived on TikTok last year, shortly after the pandemic hit and the world was locked away. Her first effort? An a cappella version of the viral hit, Bored in the House.
Bored in the house, bored in the house, I'm bored in the house, bored in the house, bored, I'm bored in the house, bored in the house, I'm bored in the house, bored in the house.
Soon after, Devin had an idea, writing a song a day based on your concept.
Okay, I need you guys to hear me out for a second because I think I have a really good idea. So for December, I was planning on doing a series where I wrote a song a day, and whichever song on TikTok got the most likes, I would just make a full song out of, and I would stream it. But what if, bear with me, what if you guys commented and gave me stuff to write about? So like, I would be writing about you instead of me. So like, it could be anything, like, it could be serious and be like your friend moved across the country and you're heartbroken. Or it can be about the spider in your bathroom that plays hide and seek and you get more paranoid with every shower you take because you can't kill him and you think he's planning to kill you because of all of his family members you killed. Just an idea. It could be anything. And I think this could be so fun. Like, it could be so, and it's possible to flop and no one will comment anything, and then I'll just do it as planned and I'll just write whatever I want every day in December. But I think it could be so much more fun if I write about you guys. God. Okay, this is what we're calling the series WBU. Like, what about you? But writing about you. We're doing it. Okay, comment things you want me to write about, and we're just gonna see how it goes. But I think this could be so fun. I get to work on my songwriting. I get to learn about you guys. It's fun, so let's just try it.
Writing About You was born. The idea got great response, including an appeal from a woman who wanted encouragement for her 4-year-old daughter who was struggling with identity issues. Devin wrote this.
Don't you ever let them tear you down. And if they try, I want you to sing out loud. I love the skin I'm in. I love my melanin. And with my curls, I am invincible. I do not need to be whatever society wants to see because I love me.
Devin's latest release is called Can You Hear Me?
We're making history. The kids depend on you and me to speak up. It's our fight, we have the power. It's our right, it's change that we demand. If you can hear me, clap your hands.
Devin Marie joins us from New York to tell us where she's been and where she is going. Devin, how are you?
I'm great, Elliot. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm great. I'm great now that you're here. We've been wanting to do this for some time. You are such a talent, girl. I'm so glad we could find
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. You know, and you seem a natural for what you're doing, and where you're doing it on socials, particularly TikTok. But if I understand correctly, you just arrived there last year, like shortly after the pandemic, right?
Yes.
What took you so long?
So I've always been pursuing music. Music has always been my life. I grew up with a super musical family. But for a decent part of my life, I had crippling stage fright. To the extent that I had to text my parents, having them let me know when they were on their way home so they couldn't hear me singing.
Really?
Yeah, it was really bad. Definitely a closeted singer. And I would go to my brother. My brother was in the band that we're in together, pursuing JC. He was in the band before I was, and I was just the supportive sister that went to the rehearsals, gave my 2 cents, like, oh, maybe try this. But I had zero interest in being up there just because of my fear. And so that was really what prevented me from putting my music out so much sooner, was just I didn't believe in myself enough to.
So what caused you to believe in yourself? What got you over that hump into where you are now?
Joining the band really is what did it for me. And by joining the band, I mean it wasn't even really me joining the band as much as it was David DeRosa, who's our manager, saying to me, "Hey, you're gonna start singing." And I was like, "No, I'm not, because I am too scared." And before I knew it, I was in front of a microphone on stage, trembling. And it was absolutely terrifying. But I knew it's what I wanted to do. But that fear, man, it is unbelievable. And so it just took performance after performance to get me through it. And I was crying before performances, after performances. But what definitely helped me was having my brother on stage with me. And I remember my first time singing a solo by myself with the band. And I was trembling. My hands were on stage, and all I was singing was a part to the bridge, like not even the full song. And my hands are literally shaking. And I look
Oh,
to my right, and my brother walks up next to me, and he's playing the bass next to me, just looking at me like, "You're okay, you got this." And that's just always how it's been, is whenever I'm scared, whenever I'm nervous, I just look to him. He gives me the look, and I just know I'll be able to get through it.
oh.
But yeah, I definitely owe it to the band, because if David didn't put me in front of a microphone, I would still be hiding in my closet.
Now, your brother, is that your only sibling? He's younger, older?
He's younger. He's 2.5 years younger.
Your only sibling?
Yes, my only sibling.
Wow, so you guys grew up pretty close, right?
Yes, he's my best friend.
Yeah. And don't feel bad, because I just happen to have a singer in my family. She just happens to be my wife, by the way. So I understand, and I've met a lot of people in the industry. People, great singers. Barbara Streisand has great stage fright. Carly Simon, who I'm sure you're probably familiar with, just
Yeah,
freaked out every time she had gone, so still does. Do you
yeah.
still find that it affects you, that it bothers you? And I would imagine that to a great degree, you find great relief in this medium here, this medium online.
I do. I definitely do still get scared. And I find it's actually interesting enough, even leading worship in front of a congregation on Sundays, I sometimes get nervous because I find it's my responsibility to lead them. And so I don't want to mess up. And so I'm scared of messing up there. And even just regular performances, I still get nervous. I had to find different ways to help me kind of not get nervous and not think about it so much, so I can just go out there and give my all. But I have found that using this medium has helped me connect with my audience in a way that I wouldn't necessarily be able to live. Because even on a stage, yes, you get to meet the fans afterwards, but with what I'm doing, I'm writing these songs live. And so they get to give their feedback, and they get to say, hey, and while I'm writing these songs, they're asking, what got you interested? How did you learn? And I'm scared of, failing. Like, how did you get over it? And being able to have those conversations. Because if I had that conversation with somebody, I might have started singing sooner.
Hmm.
And so I love getting to know them and hearing their questions and just forming relationships with them. Because I feel that there is a kind of disconnect in the music industry in today's world, where I feel as before there was more of an emotional connection, especially lyrically. And so my whole goal as an artist is to be able to write music that relates to people and makes them feel seen. And
Hmm.
so in doing this, I also have a direct line to be able to have them say while I'm live, hey, this song that you wrote last week meant everything to me, and I'm listening to it all the time. And like that's my I'm golden. Like, that's my favorite. Well, why don't you go on American Idol? And I'm like, this is my joy. This is my happiness, is knowing that I made someone's day, is I helped someone through something, and I made someone feel that they're less alone. And I feel like a lot more people need that than we realize. And so I hope to be able to just continue to do that for people with my gift.
Yeah, and you do. You have a special gift that allows you to write these songs like out of nowhere. You write them live, you write them on the spot. Well, I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but as we both rise in this medium, at some point, I thought to myself, I'm going to come back and have this young lady write an opening theme for us. Not right now.
Absolutely.
But I know she does it well. I'm not going to put her on the spot to do this, but you can do that. You do that out of nowhere.
All my favorite people went up to bed. I wish they were here playing with me instead. They seemed excited, why I don't know. I bet they can't wait to play fetch tomorrow. But then I heard a sound. I looked all around. Guess what I found? Some dude big and round just tried to attack my house. I barked real loud as he came on down the chimney. Now it's up to me to keep this big red burglar from moving any further. I said, oh, no, you don't.
How did you realize that, and how is it done?
So I've always written music. I have a notebook that I've had since I was little of just either chords that I wrote of like mini songs or lyrics that I thought would helpfully turn into a song. Um, but I think my way of realizing that I was able to do it was repetition. And I find that I'm writing so much so often, and I have a whole album of song 17, song A, song B, like songs that don't have titles, that aren't finished, that I haven't done anything with. And songs do come to me so easily, and it's usually, and that is why I made a studio in my room, is because a lot of my song ideas come to me when I'm sleeping or when I'm struggling sleeping, and that's when
Hmm.
most of my thoughts come. So I'm usually running to the piano and writing, and in doing that and having this opera like this right here for me to be able to just go release it really quick before I forget, I started realizing how easily the chords came to me, how easily the story came to me. And so in writing, and it's funny because for me sometimes, like, I had a mug that was sitting on my counter, and I wound up not posting it, but I made a TikTok where I was just literally, I made a song based off of what the mug said. And it's just like little things like that where I do it all the time. Like if I see like a wall caption, like I'll just start randomly singing. And so I didn't really realize that I was able to put things out so quickly. Um, until TikTok, where I would just share like a song. I was like, oh, I wrote this song last night. Just like, let me know what you think. But my whole goal is to be a singer-songwriter. And because there are so many singers on TikTok, I found it was a way for me to stand out by showing both sides of that I do sing, but I also write my own music.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was going to be able to do it so quickly. And so it was also surprising for me. So it definitely has helped me grow as a songwriter,
Yeah.
learn my strengths and my weaknesses. Um, but yeah, and so you asked how it kind of happens. And so
Yeah.
basically what I do is I come right here, and I go through TikTok and I figure out which comment I'm going to write about this day. And yesterday it happened to be about going to Target for one thing and leaving with everything. And basically what I did was I sat here and I thought about my personal experiences at Target. And I kind of just play with different chords until I kind of find a chord progression that I feel kind of fits the vibe. And then I kind of just start, forming sentences over the chords. And then I just start kind of rhyming with, and it just literally within like 15 to 20 minutes, I have a 1 minute song.
Wow.
And that's usually just how it goes. And then I hop on TikTok for about an hour and a half. I finish the song, I record it, and I post it.
I only came for laundry detergent. There's no reason that I left with more. And honestly, it doesn't make any sense that I spent an hour and $200 in the store. I swear that I didn't mean to, but I walked through decor and suddenly I need to redo my kitchen, even though it's fine. I swear Target gets every nickel and dime. I have no self-control, and Target it is so bad that I need a chaperone when I go. I can't explain how I walk in and black out. It's the one place if you lose me, I do not want to be found.
And that's my writing about you process.
Wow, that is remarkable. And I always say people are wired to do certain things. Some of us find out how we're wired late in life. Some of us find out very early in life. But I think you've found the latter. And I just want to change the tense. You said I want to be a writer. You are a writer and singer. It's just that
Yes.
these people out there don't know it yet. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get more and more people to find
Yes.
out about you. And I think when they do, they'll realize the same thing that I do. In that process, do you find that there are concepts that are a little harder to work out than others, or does anything cause you to write a song?
I could honestly write about anything. I think I've grown up a very um, emotionally connected person, and so
Hmm.
I'm always feeling empathy, and I'm always trying to, be there for other people. And so with these, I thought I would have trouble kind of writing about other people just because it's not my story. But I found even with the music I write, I almost write better about other people. Because for me, I almost think of life as a soundtrack. And so there are some times where like, I've written songs about me waiting in an airport and writing a song about a lady that was just waiting, and just giving her a story, you know, making up a story and stuff like that. But it's just I find that when I put myself in their shoes and I try to think of what they can get from a song, and it's not always an emotional song. Sometimes it's about something silly, but sometimes when it is about something specific that somebody needs, I try to think of what I would need to get from that song, like
Hmm.
what would I need to be able to take away from it, and I try to my best of my ability to give that to them in a song,
Hmm.
because I know the power that music has, and I know music has helped me through so much, and so if I can give somebody that song to help them through that thing, so I almost find it easier to write for other people now, whereas before I didn't. But I've come to love being able to provide that for people and, you know, be that outlet for them.
Yeah. Speaking about writing for other people, tell me about the song that you wrote for a young lady by the name of Rachel Antorino. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes. Yes. So Rachel was a friend of mine. I wrote my song that's out, Stronger, was written in memory of Rachel. Rachel was a 14-year-old girl who unfortunately lost her battle to acute myeloid leukemia. And she had the brightest smile. She had the most contagious energy. And I didn't know her for incredibly long. I only knew her for a few years, but the few years that I did know her, I was so incredibly lucky to. And I babysat her and her brother in the mornings, and just the few times that did get to spend with each other meant everything. And I learned so much from her. And she was 12 when I met her. But, you know, in losing her and watching her fight, um, one was awful, but it was so inspiring to see the courage she had through all of it. And whenever I visited her, whenever I saw her, she had a smile always. And you would never know that she was fighting. And so um, when I decided I was going to write a song, I knew I wanted to write a song after she passed. Um, but I also realized we also didn't need another reason to cry.
Hmm.
And Rachel wouldn't want us crying. Rachel was such a happy girl, and she would want us celebrating her life. And so, because of her energy, I wanted to write a song that emulated that. And she was a dancer, and so I wanted to write something that I can envision her dancing to.
Hmm.
And so that was one of the hardest songs I've had to write, because lyrically, I had such a hard time writing something happy about something so painful. Um, and I just wanted it to be perfect for her mom and her brother and her family. And so I was constantly tweaking lyrics. I would have to step back and take a break from it because I didn't want it to not be heartfelt. Um, but one day I just sat and the lyrics just came, and I just thought about all the things that I took away from my relationship with Rachel and the time that I knew her and how I've grown as a person because of her. And that's kind of how the lyrics came, is I'm stronger because of her, and we all are. And so that really became the premise of the song.
Hmm.
And so I called Amy and I said, I have the song for you. And I went over and I showed her and Anthony, and we wound up playing it. I performed it actually at the first annual Rachel's Dance Extravaganza. And it was the theme song for this year, well, 2020's second annual Rachel's Dance Extravaganza, which we had virtually because of COVID. But it's been absolutely amazing to be a part of helping raise awareness for acute myeloid leukemia, because childhood cancer awareness is something that really needs to be discussed. And so I'm so happy to be able to help Amy in spreading Rachel's memory and helping other families battling the awful disease. And I hope that we can just continue to fight so less kids and less families suffer.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the name of the the song is "Stronger." Can be found on your
Yes.
website, or can be found on Spotify and on your website at
Yes.
devinmariemusic.net. Correct?
.net.
.net.
Yes.
Okay, good. Um, you mentioned earlier the church and your connection with the church. Your family has had a wonderful connection with the church. You know, before I go into that, I just was reminded of something. Somebody told me not to forget to mention your dad. Your dad's a bit of a musician, is he not?
He is. He is. My dad, he grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, and he moved to New York to pursue music.
What's his name?
And so him and his buddies, they moved to New York in 1990.
Mhm.
and got a small apartment and just performed music at night and just tried to make the dream like so many of us do. And he actually met my mom performing one of his gigs. And so it's really cool that he chased his dream, and even though the dream didn't go the way he wanted it to, he met my mom, and here I am because of it. But
I think the
he,
dream's going just well. You like it when
yeah.
your kids kind of follow in your footsteps and display the kind of talent that you have. So I think it's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a family affair. Since I was 8 days old, I was at my first showcase. And my brother and I were always going to my dad's showcases, the rehearsals. If he had the rehearsal at the house or somewhere, we would always go. We loved just hearing them practice and watching the songs as they learned them to when they performed them live for the showcases, and just watching them all, the different genres, and falling in love with different types of music was so awesome. And
Hmm.
so for my brother and I, like Saturday mornings, we would always like pop in like Prince live in concert or Phil Collins live in concert, and we would just pretend to do the entire concert. We'd get dressed up, we'd take my dad's microphones, and you could not tell us that we weren't Maurice White and Philip Bailey. Like we were Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Wow.
But I attribute most of my passion for music to my dad. And my mom's musical as well, but I think him coming here and pursuing music, I think really is what brought it up in my brother and I.
Yeah. Yeah. Your dad and mom's name, if I may. Your
Yeah,
dad.
my dad's Wayne Simpson,
Mhm.
and my mom's Marita Coleman Simpson.
Well, good for you, both of you, for bringing this young lady into the world. Thank you. And her brother as well, because I hear your brother. I believe your brother's got that. He's the one with the great baritone. On
Oh, my brother, yeah,
Yeah.
he's Barry White. He literally, it's just sometimes in the morning, I have to wait till like 11, maybe noon to like be able to hear what he's saying because it's
Yeah.
all just like it's just so deep. But it's so funny because he's like the most gentle, like soft spoken, but he just has such a deep voice.
Hmm.
But also the most insanely talented musician I've ever met in my life.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, he really is. You mentioned that we were talking about the church earlier and your connection with the church.
mhm.
I was reminded of how many musicians in the past, and probably still here in the future, have trouble in their resolving their transition from gospel music to secular music. I was watching the movie One Night in Miami, and I was reminded of how Sam Cooke and other musicians of his era had such a difficult time making that transition from the church because people thought, well, you're somehow compromising the word of God by going out and taking your talents and doing this in this way. Have you found any resistance like that?
Honestly, no. I go to Shelter Rock Church, and we're non-denominational, but we play very contemporary Christian music. And although we do still sing hymns on Sundays, we do also like Hillsong,
Hmm.
and so there is a lot of contemporary, and there are some people that are, not huge fans of the electric guitars, and you see like my brother or my friend Corinne and the drum kit, and they're like, whoa, like heavy drums. But God said make a joyful noise, and I think
Absolutely.
when you're just doing it with his, giving him the glory, that's all that matters. And so um more contemporary Christian music also has in mind the emotional connection with the musical progressions it makes, that older Christian music might not have had. And I find that a lot more contemporary stuff is more intentional with how they reach you emotionally, not just lyrically, but musically, which I absolutely love. And so it's really cool having a combination. And I love the old stuff too. And sometimes I lead worship at older churches, and they love the hymns. And sometimes I have to like shift gears and make it so it fits them better. And every church is different. But I've never had that kind of resistance, at least at my church,
Hmm.
because we are more contemporary where I go. But again, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but I feel, at least where I come from, that it's more just about giving him the glory in whatever capacity you can, whether you're clapping, you're dancing, you're singing, whatever it
Hmm.
may be. It's just for his glory. And
You got
so
that right.
I don't really think the style, in my opinion, matters.
Yeah, yeah. You obviously are, and I don't use this in a pejorative sense or disrespectful sense, a child of the internet age and of the digital world, and I'm a big proponent of that. Hence what we're doing here. But it seems that I get the sense that you don't buy into it entirely. For example, you're certainly on TikTok. You're a rising star there. You've got a website and Instagram, and I think you've got a YouTube channel as well. But that's about it. I don't see you spread out as thin as other people. Snapchat and Twitter and other places as well. Is that by design?
I do have a Twitter. I made a Twitter fairly recently. Twitter, I don't really actively do much on. I kind of just post more of what I'm doing on TikTok. Um, there is so much you can do socially, and media is such, and technology is just such a powerful thing right now. Um, but I try to focus on what I'm good at and what I know the most about. And so for me, the last year has really been about learning about TikTok. I've been on Instagram for a while, and so I've understood how Instagram works and Facebook works. And now using TikTok as a kind of a tool to be able to reach different people and connect with different people. And also what has helped me is because I majored in media studies, I was also able to learn the importance of social media and how to utilize that to reach fans, and being in the music industry, how to utilize social media. So trying intentional with which outlets I use and how I go about using them, and kind of looking into them first. But yeah, so musically, my main goal is kind of just strategically kind of putting out music where I find that it will reach people, that I can connect with people. Like on TikTok, I'm able to speak live with people and write the songs. And even though I only have like a minute limit, it still allows me to reach other singer-songwriters. And with the algorithm, I'm able to see different artists that I wouldn't have been able to see otherwise. And so I'm able to get different things from different streaming social media platforms. And so it's really cool to be able to find the pros and cons of each and utilize each of them accordingly.
Are you on Clubhouse yet? You familiar with Clubhouse?
I'm not, but it's actually funny. A friend of mine, Cindy Kerman, actually mentioned it to me yesterday. I was on the phone with her, and she was like, "Have you heard of Clubhouse?" And I hadn't until she spoke to me.
Yeah.
But that's something that's new and coming too, which I'm really interested to hear more about. It sounds really, really interesting.
Oh yeah, you're gonna want this because it's all audio, of course. It's not that there's no text, there's no video. It's all done on audio, very much like, and you may not remember this, but a lot of people remember the old party lines on telephones where you pick up the phone and somebody else is talking on the line in an effort to sort of share the line and share the cost, I suppose. And it was all old technology. I think I remember it as a young child, and then it went out of vogue. But it reminds me of that because you get a lot of people on the same line all talking at the same time. And essentially that's what it is. They group it together in rooms. And I thought to myself as I was going into this, that with just audio only, you could group a room together of just singers and the way you write a song, that could be very interesting in a Clubhouse. I will send you, if you don't have one already, I'll send you an invitation. And see if
Absolutely, I would love that.
Yeah, I'll
Thank
send
you.
What do you got coming up? What's for you in the future?
So right now I'm working on a few different commissions, and I'm working on a lot of original music right now. I have a song called Falling Back in Love, which is coming out in the next few weeks, which I'm really excited about. And it's really just about learning to love yourself again, and just the importance of loving yourself first. And so I'm really excited to share that. And I'm working on a lot of different projects and finishing songs that I made for TikTok that people wanted to get a full song out of. And so I'm excited to provide that for people as well. So I'm working on a lot of different projects, which I'm really excited to start sharing with people. But Falling Back in Love is what's next, and I'm really excited for people to hear that.
All right. Well, we're very excited to hear it as well. We hope to listen to it and hear it coming up very soon. Devin Marie, you are blessed, young lady.
Thank you so much, Elliot.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. Continued success in life and career going forward. And please don't be a stranger here and now.
Never. Thank you so much, Elliot. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. And thank you for being there this week. If you like what you're seeing, please tell your friends. And in the meantime, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and then be right back here next week, Thursday, for another edition of Now. Till then, take care. Peace.